Hello everybody, this is Civil Authority. My name is Rick Hidalgo and this is the channel that exposes to you the truth about who you are. Welcome to episode 4. This is What is Law? My name is Rick Hidalgo and this is the Civil Authority YouTube channel. And the reason we're going through this study is to regain our liberties. But in order to regain our liberties, we have to go back and understand what the origin of our liberties were. And this is complicated by the fact that the powers that be have dumbed us down through their public miseducation systems. They've taught us things that are incorrect, that have no foundation, but they call them theories. And although, we can read the dictionary and go to the word theory and understand that a theory is not a fact, we teach theories as if they are fact, and we don't consider the origin story from the oldest, most accepted book on the entire planet, and that is the Scriptures. And what is it that they say about somebody who does the same thing multiple times and expects a different result? That they're insane? Well, our insanity is prevalent. Boy, can't talk today. I need some more water. Just a sec. So, what is law? If we go to the dictionary, they're going to tell us what law is according to different civil or political foundations. But the term law is really a term that was first came from nature itself. You see, law has to have an origin, and the origin of that law has to have fact behind it. It can't be a fictional origin to have a factual law. A fictional law has a fictional origin, okay? But a factual law has a factual origin. And the factual origin of all law is that we were created. We came from something. We came from somewhere, okay? Now, I believe, and based on evidence, okay, that we came from, we were the creation of God, God Almighty, Yahuwah. He created us in His image, and that He instructed us to multiply, to subdue the earth. He instructed us how to live. He gave us foundations of law to live by. These are called the laws of nature. And through those laws of nature, we fine-tune those laws through the ages. First came Moses, who gave us the Ten Commandments. Afterwards, there was a lot of happenings in civilization that brought forth a greater understanding of the need for law. Governments arose, different types of governments, but all governments are precipitated, I think that's a word, but all governments are a prerequisite to any government is consent. All governments derive from the consent of the people. If the people don't consent to government, there's no government. So this is a really slippery slope of a subject, because it might tend to sound at times that one is talking about anarchy, and that's not the case. It also may tend to sound that one is anti-government, and that's not the case either. We are pro-government, okay, but we're pro-good government, good natural government, limited in its capacity, limited because we don't need government in many ways. We need limited government with only certain enumerated powers. So where am I going? Now here's where I'm going. We need to know what the law is so we can authenticate that law and bring it forward as executor or executrix of the estate. If we're going to come to a conclusion that an estate has been established for us and that it was for our benefit, which is what the role of government is, so it makes perfect sense that when we're birthed, if our mother did in fact inform the government of our birth through a registration process, and the government formed an estate in a version of our name, okay, which we'll get into that another time. There's some details there that you should know. Something minimus captus something or another. We'll bring the Latin forward on another show, okay, so you can understand that when you find yourself in all capital letters, that's actually very reminiscent of a slave. Okay, a slave is all caps. You're actually lowering your status when you place your name in all caps. So you can see, based on the wealth of evidence as it grows, which we can talk about on another show, based on the wealth of evidence, you can see how what they actually did was create an estate that was for your benefit, but at the same time it subjected you to something. And I think it's very clear to see that what you were subjected to was infancy. You were perceived to be an infant. This is made clear by the Burns Law Dictionary of 1792 that we read last week, or our last episode. Okay, so it's very important for us to start to build upon these conclusions and start to build a case for what actually happened, so that we can move forward in determining what the steps are to not undo it, but to correct it, to cure it. We don't want to kill the estate. The estate is there for your benefit. What we want to do is we want to utilize the estate for you to do the things you need to do in your life. If you kill the estate, how do you do business? Because they only communicate to you in the all caps name. You know that. Look at every piece of mail that comes into your house. Look at everything that you have with your name on it in your wallet, your driver's license, your social security card, your credit cards. All of them are in your all caps name, which is diminished status. That's not you. That's your estate. That's a piece of property that belongs ultimately to you. You have beneficial interest of it. All you have to do is claim that beneficial interest. Now, I must stop quickly, and I must say I'm not offering legal advice. I never do, never will, so don't get that assumption. This is for educational purposes. This is something I've studied. I study it because I want to get to the bottom of what's going on so that I can get where I need to go, because God has called me to do some things, but hey, I've got to pull people out with myself. Okay? We're going to pull each other out. We're going to hold each other's hand, and we're going to get out of this dark pit together, because that's what brothers do. So, we really need to understand law. We've got to come to a foundation, to an understanding, a cornerstone piece in our lives where we understand why we do what we do. We need to understand why we do what we do. Okay? Very, very important. Very important that we get to that point. If we don't get to that point, we're going to lose everything, because they're going to keep considering us as infants, and we're never going to get to a place where we really obtain or regain liberty. So here's what I want you to do. Okay, I'm going to give everybody a little bit of a homework assignment. I want you to write a list down of the things that bring forward your law. And what I mean by law is this: there are things in your life that govern you. Figure out what those things are. If you were living in a situation where that was a perfect utopia, a utopian situation, everyone has to have government. But if you were living the way that you conceived that you could live, if you were self-governed, what things would need to be brought forward for you to be able to self-govern yourself? Think about what those things are, make a list of them, and then begin to authenticate those things. I'm going to give you an example. In my opinion, a proper life is one that's subjected to my King, Jesus Christ. Okay? This is my opinion. So, if I'm going to be subject to my King Jesus Christ, I need to take His word, okay, and I need to authenticate it, and I need to say, this is the will and testament of my King. The testator, the grantor of the trust, who put in corpus, which was me, okay, a corpus into the trust, that testator, this is his law. And this is the law that you, all you trustees out there, and see, those who created the estate for your benefit are trustees, and they should be trustees. They should operate and act as trustees for your benefit. That was the reason they created it. So, we need to force them to become trustees. And they need to be trustees according to the testator's law. So, develop the testator's law. Put it on paper. Make it the last will and testament of your corpus. Your corpus meaning your body. Okay? And they must act upon the will and testament of your corpus. They must. Because it is the law of the testator. And the testator's law is what governs the estate. Do you understand that? You got to understand trust law. You got to get it. You got to get it. You got to understand trust law. Okay? So, that's what I need you to do for your assignment. Then we're going to come back next time, and we're going to talk about some relevant topics that we haven't talked about before. But I want to make these things kind of short so that we can stay on topic. Alright? I don't want to get off on too many rabbit trails, and it's way too easy to get off on rabbit trails. So I try to make these things around 15 minutes apiece. and we're approaching that real quick. So that's really all I'm going to say for today. I'm just going to ask that you guys be safe, that you guys study hard, that you guys start to write down those things, your will and testament. And by your will and testament, you understand what I'm saying. I'm talking about the testament of the testator. If Jesus is your king, then that's the testator. You put down his will and testament, you get it authenticated. And that is what the trustees must use as your law. Okay? Now, if you have some other guy as your king, well, bless your heart. Hope it works out for you. But that's your testator. You know, the scriptures say you can only serve one master. So if it's not Jesus, who is it? That's just my opinion. I know it sounds dogmatic, okay? But I guess I'm dogmatic in that way. You know, I'm kind of intolerant when it comes to some things, and that's one of my intolerances is you can only serve one master. And Jesus is my choice. And from my perspective, I only see two choices, Christ or Antichrist. Okay? But you make your choice. You get your law together on paper, and you bring it forward as a will and testimony of your corpus. That's going to be very important to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming, for being a part of this show today. Please spread the word. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. God bless you. God bless America. In Jesus' name, see you next time.